This is the Hinesburg Board of School Directors meeting. It's March 17th and it's 5:30. We are going to do some electing, and I need a nomination for the board chair.
I'd like to nominate Keith Roberts for board chair.
Are there other nominations? In that case, we will vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you. Yay. Thank you very much. So then we'll keep going on other positions we need. We need a vice chair. Do I have a nomination for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Bill Baker for vice chair, please.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor of Bill being vice chair, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Baker. You are vice chair.
Thank you.
We need a clerk and an assistant clerk. I believe the clerk last year was Stacy. She's not here to object. Has anyone heard an objection from her that she's not willing to serve again?
I would like to nominate Stacy to be the clerk.
That sounds great. Any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor of Stacy being clerk, say aye.
Should we applaud when she comes?
Congratulations, Stacy, when you get here. We need an assistant clerk. Can you guys remind me who was the assistant clerk last time?
I think
Were you or Ken?
It was you.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll nominate Eileen Colleen to be the assistant clerk.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor of Colleen, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Congratulations. Thank you. Policy committee. I need a nomination for our board rep to the policy committee. You have done it previously.
I've done it.
Would you be opposed if I nominated you?
Not at all.
I nominate Colleen to be our policy committee rep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Congratulations. Negotiations committee. Bill, having served previously, any desire to still serve?
I will continue to
We
serve.
certainly would like you to carry over.
I will continue to serve.
All right, I nominate Bill to be on the negotiations committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. Thank you. Facility committee. Kathy has done that previously. Why don't we reserve on that one just to confirm if she still wants to continue on that? Technology committee. Were you the rep previously?
We didn't have one last year because I was having problems making those 3 p.m. meetings.
Are those meetings still going to be held about the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to think about it, or do you want us to nominate you?
Do we need to have a rep on? I know that it was there previously. I wonder if it's.
This chart says we need one.
And I'm wondering if someone could participate remotely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, use the tech committee to practice that.
Wouldn't that be a great idea?
You know, maybe we want to think about this and get back to it. We could come back to this in a month. We don't need to act on everything today.
I'm with you.
I think it's a good suggestion.
Maybe.
All right. So
'Cause I've been on committees where we had one person remote, and you know, let's say you had 5 people around the table. The 5th person is a screen.
Yeah.
we'll hold that one in abeyance then. Pi rep. I think Stacy has been the Pi rep before, so let's reserve on that. And if she's willing to do that, great. If she's not, I can do that. And then we need 3 SU board reps.
We should wait for them to be here for that, I think.
Seeing as it's probably going to be the 3 of us, maybe we should wait for them to show up just to make sure they're not interested. How's that sound? All right. So as a preliminary matter, the first adjustments to the agenda is we're going to reserve, and we'll come back to those, to facility, technology, Pi, and SU rep, just to confirm willingness to serve of those who are not yet here. Another, or 3.0 adjustments to the agenda, we are going to move 8.3, consideration and action on the 8th grade field trip. We're going to move that up front to in front of 4.0 audience and communications so that we can do that right now. Any other adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none, then let's hear about the 8th grade trip.
So I'd like to present a group of 8th graders that would like a moment of your time to discuss a possibility that they're investigating for this school year. So without further ado, ladies.
We moved this up first so they can present and then skedaddle.
I forgot that I had an active role
Should
in
we
this.
introduce ourselves?
They're going to introduce themselves, and if they, would you like to know who you're speaking to?
The names are right in front.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for coming tonight. My name is Colleen McKinnon, and I'm a board member.
I'm Bill Baker. I know my daughters Julie and Millie, they're in 6th grade.
I'm Keith Roberts, and I know at least one of you because you're one of my neighbors.
I'm Kathy Byard.
And you are?
I'm Shay Starwell. I'm Taylor Gauthier. I'm Abby Ferrara.
Okay, it's all yours.
So our proposal for our 2015 8th grade trip is to take a trip to Montreal, Canada as a day trip and then have a lock-in following that at HES. Our wishes, like we wanted time together as a large group. We wanted a new experience and then a sleepover opportunity at HES. And then we were just kind of thinking May 15th to 16th, but that's just a rough estimate. We're not finalized on that. So we were thinking, we're in the middle of fundraising now. We're not sure whether we'll have enough money or not, but we want to take Premier buses. An alternative for that is to just take one yellow school bus and then one Premier bus, like half and half, and then on the way back switch. So, yeah. And then Montreal, Canada. So we were thinking around in the morning we would visit the Biodome, kind of just getting a different experience of the culture there. And then we wanted to try to do the incline tower, kind of just to see a visual of Montreal landscaping. And then some people haven't been able to ride the subway, so we thought it would be cool if people had the experience to do that and just have the kind of fast-paced culture. And then just walking around the streets and getting to know what it's like, because around here it's a lot different. So we just wanted to get a feel, because some people haven't got an opportunity to experience that, so that'd be a good experience.
Can I just ask a question? So are those the neighborhoods that you're thinking of? I see Chinatown and Underground City and
just the Underground Mall, Chinatown, the Old Town, just around yeah. We're not finalized on that yet, but just ideas. And then for lunch, we were just thinking of splitting up in groups and going wherever kids desire, just splitting up in tiny groups and just experiencing the food and that kind of stuff, I guess.
Yeah, preferably around the 3 options of Chinatown, the Underground Mall, and the Old City.
And then we thought it would be really cool to experience the IMAX theater, just a new visual presentation, I guess.
To be with the whole 8th grade. Not be separated.
And then we would return to HES after that and do a lock-in. We were thinking
That's
just...
not urgent.
We were just thinking of doing a bonfire in the back and then just hosting a lot of different activities to fulfill kids' time.
And to let the board know, we did a lock-in last year as at the end of the 8th grade trip, and it was amazing.
Jeff slept through the whole thing.
Barb was amazed at how quickly I could fall asleep, but yeah.
and then we would sleep in our team rooms.
That would have been a riot if you had a picture of me, because, yeah. I brought this huge air mattress and I put it right in the middle of the hallway, and, yeah, anyways.
So for cost, we were so we're trying to fundraise as much as we can. Our overall goal is roughly $6,000.
Should be under, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully under, but we'll just take so we'll fundraise as much as we can, and then the cost left over, we'll just divide it by how many students there are, and then see how much each kid will have to pay. But there's financial aid available for some students, and yeah, we'll just see, I guess, to be determined.
And the board members can obviously go and do the sleepover, correct?
Yeah.
I wanted to be sure that was an option.
We can't go on the trip?
Yeah, no, you can, do the whole thing.
It'll be over my son's death.
And I know the girls are open for questions, if you have questions.
I got one.
Yeah.
What time do you plan to leave?
Well, we were thinking around 8 o'clock a.m.
Just to, the rush hour is usually before that, so we wouldn't have as much time waiting at the border.
Speaking of the border, what about documentation requirements for going back and forth? Would everyone have them?
Well, yeah, we're looking into that. We're looking into it more with Miss Spalding.
Yeah, so a student under 18 can still travel over the border with a birth certificate.
Okay.
And any kid that we know of that was born out of the country, we kind of investigated that group of kids, and they're all set.
Okay.
That being said, there may be some sleeper kid we're not sure of, we didn't realize, but we do believe we're set with everyone.
And do you need a note from the parent or something
Yeah,
to
we
go?
would have a more formalized permission slip, just a very detailed one that has contact information, and health insurance
Yep.
information is the requirement.
And a backup vehicle, just in case someone gets left at the border and needs to get back here.
Yeah, we would problem solve that.
Yeah.
I would happily drive.
So one of the dilemmas that the kids have is, and we've been in this dilemma for many years, is that we're too big for one Premier bus,
Yeah.
but not big enough for two, and then the cost becomes astronomical. So, one thing is you have a large SUV type car, but then you got a group of kids that aren't with the larger
Right.
group. And these guys came up with an interesting solution: is one school bus, which is a lot cheaper than a Premier bus, and one Premier bus, and one group gets to ride up
Yeah.
on the nice bus on the way back, and then you flop on the way back. And we've talked about, if we're going to go in a school bus, it's a different kind of restroom or stops that we would make on our trip. And then in terms of some of these logistics, the plan is on, if this is approved on April break, there's a couple staff people, we're going to go and do a dry run of the trip and actually time things and look at logistics, like here's 3 really good pizza places we found.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested in pizza for lunch, if you want to try poutine, go to this area.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions? Yeah.
What time are you coming back?
Well, we were thinking around leaving around 7, and then we estimated that it would be about 2 hours.
Uh-huh.
So then we'd get back at around 9, and then we'd have our activities and bonfire.
Yeah, approximately. I never time anything, but around that time.
How about the next morning?
We were thinking, yeah, like around 10 probably, because we feed them breakfast and then we get them out of there.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
activities to do and things, so not too in the morning.
I think it's just it's a really interesting idea to put the subway in there, because a lot of kids don't have experience, and in a few years they're going to want to be going to cities on their own, and to have that under their belt, I think will give people a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I think
It's
it's
an
a
interesting
good
idea.
cultural experience.
And they've thought about an all-group activity, so like the biodome, the way it's set up in one area, the staff can almost play like a zone defense, and the kids can move around in any groups they'd like. as long as they're in the designated area.
Mhm.
And then when they go on the subway and then into, if they want to go to Chinatown, or if they want to go up and look at the colleges up at McGill and all that,
Mhm.
those would be smaller times
Yeah.
where they could focus with a smaller group, and that group could sit down and say, well, we're interested in the old city, we're really going to focus there. Or
Yeah.
you know, this group wants to go see where the old, you know, where the Canadians used to play. And so
Yeah.
they're going to be able to tailor their trip
Yeah.
that way.
How many eighth graders and how many adults do you plan on taking with you?
58.
58 eighth graders, 8 to 9 adults.
Not that many.
Can you remind the board, and more importantly, those that might be joining us, why this is a board issue?
Yeah, so anytime that you cross state lines, it has to get approved by the board, and going to Canada also.
So
entails board
in the
approval.
past, the eighth grade class has had a trip.
Yeah.
So this is not a new concept, it's just the destination that's new, that's
Mhm.
causing the need for this.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's great practice for the eighth graders to come and present.
Yeah.
And I want to really congratulate them, because we knew this was coming, but we actually thought it was 2 weeks from now, and they found out at like 2 o'clock, and they're here, and they can do it.
They're smiling.
And they're smiling, so no rehearsal, they're, so.
Can you remind us what happened in the past few years? What the experience has been? I'm forgetting.
So, you know, for many, many years, we went to Boston.
Yeah.
And there became kind of a lack of interest
Yeah.
in terms of the kids and the parents around this big fundraising. That was we were raising maybe $15,000 for those 2 overnight trips and 3 buses and all that. And that also coincided with a staff change, and then everyone on the staff having children.
Yeah.
And it was all of a sudden like, I have an infant at home and I don't know what to do.
Right.
And so then we went to more of a, we called it extended Granbury or extended Sandbar. The kids have a normal field trip at Sandbar. And then we would stay with the 8th graders a couple hours extra, maybe do a bonfire there. And that we did that for a couple years. And then lately there's been kind of this itch to do more.
Mm-hmm.
And we planned an extended one where we were going to go to Campersville, a little private campground. That one got rained out.
Mm.
We've done one where we did like the Rackets Edge swimming and climbing wall
Mhm.
and those types of activities. And then last June, we brought it up to the kids and said, okay, your 8th grade trip's coming up, what would you like?
Mhm.
And there was an interest in a day trip
Mhm.
of this nature. There's also an interest in that kind of typical, you know, extended trip. These
Yeah.
girls have really led the charge of let's
Yeah.
organize something and let's make it happen for our group.
It's a great resource. It's so close.
Yeah.
So different for kids.
Yeah, I think we just wanted to do something different from everyone else and really combine everything from cultural to educational to fun. So I think we've done that, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like you've picked some neighborhoods that are really different from each other, but they're really close and easy
Yeah.
access to the metro system. So, nice job with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, ladies.
Any other questions for our guests? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Very helpful. So while we're on the topic then, any further discussion before we call a question? Are you ready to act then? Then I will entertain a motion to approve the 8th grade field trip as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Bill and Stacy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Do you want me to be the clicker?
I can do that.
Let me just confirm.
Good work.
For the agenda 4.0
fine.
audience and communications. Looks like we probably don't have any because the only other
Thank you,
audience
Mark.
members here are about to do the presentation. So let's move on to 5.1, school counseling presentation, and then we'll come back to the board officer positions.
Okay, so just to remind you, this is the second part of a 2-part series of student support services. Last month, we had the health teacher, the SAP counselor, and the mentoring coordinator come and give their pieces. And we're hoping you see how much everybody works together. There's a lot of collaboration. There's really, this year, we've been focusing a lot on the tiers, Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3, which you've heard us talk about academically. We also look at that behaviorally, and looking at the different levels of support. We've really worked hard on creating systems that work well to support all students. And this year, we're hoping that you also, one of the takeaways you have is that you can see how proactive we've been able to be as part of our student, really putting supports in earlier for students to keep them at the Tier 1, Tier 2 level. So I think I'll introduce Kate, and then were you going to introduce everybody else? So,
Yeah.
Okay, so Kate Meyer is one of our behavior interventionists.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, so I guess this is kind of our slide of everyone. I know that you met some of them last time. And we have Jim Kettler here, who's the older middle school version of the behavior coordinator. We have Kelsey Dolan, our school social worker, and Dave Rast, I'm sure you know, as our school counselor. And if you want to go to the next slide. So yeah, like we just kind of talked about how we also look at behavior like through the multi-tier system of support. We kind of have the Tier 1, which is our universal, that Be a Star, which probably many of you have heard and know, which is kind of teaching the expectations to all students and every students, and having, you know, the belonging, sharing, trust, accepting responsibility, and respect. Then we kind of have our Tier 2, our targeted supports, which are, so the students that aren't kind of responding to Tier 1, they need a little bit more support, which is identified through maybe teacher referrals or requests, the EST process, behavior data, so students that are kind of rising up in needing more support that way. And then we kind of have our Tier 3, which are you know, our more intense services that for students that might need outside supports, you know, special ed, that kind of stuff. And then if you wanted to go to the next part.
So specifically talking about Kate and I, we took Kate's job and split it into two people. Kate is responsible for K through 4, and I am responsible for 5 through 8, although there's plenty of crossover between the two of us because we're wherever the need is most at the time. We're responsible for communication between home, school, you know, depending on situations that arise. Kate, the nice thing about our situation is our schedules overlap. I come in a little bit later, which provides me to stay later. So Kate often is there meeting the buses first thing in the morning, getting the kids off the bus, checking in with the bus drivers to be aware of anything from the very beginning part of the day. And then my schedule allows me to stay till 4. So one of the things that I provide is after school work time for students that are trying to catch up, which can be voluntary, or sometimes if it's a little more required to get back on track. And then Kate and I are responsible for behavior plans, check-in and check-outs, homeschool coordination, as I talked about, communications I talked about, and being a part of the CSPs. And then this year we've also been approved. We both attended an FBA, which is Functional Behavioral Assessment training, and we're now trained in that, so we're going to start incorporating that into some of the work that we do with our students.
Yeah, continue to build that capacity for proactive work.
And CSP.
I said CSP.
What does this stand for?
Oh, I'm sorry. Coordinated Service Plan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wait, the board loves acronyms.
It's the alphabet soup, right? Yeah.
So that's coordinating like outside services for a student and making sure that we're all on the same page and working together.
How we support families, you know, we try to make ourselves as available as possible for communication, both from families and out to families, to be aware of, you know, how behaviors are affecting their ability to be available for education. And if they need resources, we also want to be the person trying to connect them with people like Dave and Kelsey and other outside supports. And then we are directly responsible for the bullying and harassment piece involved with the investigations and the follow-up that comes with that. You know, we facilitate support for lunch and recess, and we are directly involved with the data collection for our PBIS, our positive behavior and the Swiss data that we put in to keep track of trends and to be aware of where we can make adjustments and be more on top of making changes. And then, and this is really more Kate at this point, but involve the training with the paraprofessionals.
Yeah, which is kind of something new for me this year, which kind of was as my role broke into two, being able to do that. So, yeah. And then, so just kind of some data and kind of to show some trends. So kind of some referrals. So when I first started in this position, in the non-classroom setting, so your lunch, your recess, the buses, about 100 referrals. And these are major behavior referrals. So, yeah.
Define major behavior.
Yep, which just going there. So you're no, it's okay. So like physical aggression, fighting, bullying, harassment. Let's see.
Extreme verbal.
Yeah, extreme so your extreme disrespect, kind of those high level behaviors. So about 100 referrals. Then I came in and we kind of made it a little bit more clear, started to do some in-classroom, like teaching these expectations, helping provide the support for the teachers, went down, and then Allegra came in and we continued to hit those expectations, continued to do that proactive work, continued for me to know what is going on, where are the students popping, what can we do, where do we need. And then this year, which is one thing that's been really great, is being available. So being out there and being at the bus, meeting those students, seeing how they're coming off, dealing with the problems at that point, being out at recess before they become explosive. So before they become these major things, being able to be there.
And is this across the school or just
yes.
in the K-4?
Nope, across the school.
So, sorry, I'm slow today. So what did the teachers do differently to get from 100 to 41?
So big thing that they do differently is so they're coming to talk to me before it's that kid that's throwing the book across the room, before it's the fight at recess. You see the kid getting angry and upset. It's getting the supports in before it reaches that higher level and being available to do that.
Okay, what year did you come in?
11, 12.
I think another thing that really has happened is that PBIS, which is be a star and teaching students to be respectful, to be responsible for their behaviors. I think the teachers as well have incorporated that within their classrooms.
Yeah.
So that initially it was kind of new, and in time, because those concepts and ideas are supported throughout the school, I think that's another reason for the improvement, to answer your question.
Like a great example is the bus. We would hear a lot about things that are happening on the bus. So we really hit hard this year, especially like what is expected on the bus, what are the rules on the bus, what is the bus driver, how does the bus driver communicate problems to us? Just kind of making it more of a system and looking at it that way.
We started in kindergarten.
We started in kindergarten. We have a bus song that's posted. I mean, it's very, just really hitting
and
hard.
the teachers have it posted in the classroom, and they review the rules with them every day for the first several weeks, and they go back to it.
Or like we look for other trends. Like we noticed Tuesday was kind of a high behavior day for us for some.
Gee.
You think it'd be Friday? No, it's Tuesday. So I know.
Today.
It must be the tacos.
Must be the tacos.
So, and what we'll show you at the end is we created giving out 2 stars instead of 1, so it's a double day for those expected behaviors, and you'll see. Kind of a video, 2 for Tuesday. So, and you'll see the video of how we rolled this out to the teachers and taught them how to do this. So yeah. And we also do pay it forward Friday, as you pay it forward to someone else that's following.
Giving the students an opportunity to recognize others and their peers.
Yeah.
It's real, and it's also clearly defining for the teachers what requires Kate and Jim, and what kind of our administrative expectations that you deal with in the classroom. And because if the kids aren't in the classroom, they're not learning.
Yeah.
And back in my first year, before Kate and Jim, and it was me, 99% of my time was dealt in a reactive role. I was just reacting to the behaviors, and now we're, they've done an amazing job. So.
Yeah. Thanks. So then we're going to have Kelsey take over in her.
So I am the school social worker, and my position is slightly different because I'm contracted through the Howard Center. So it's a full-time 205-day position through the contract, so it's slightly longer than the regular school year, and that gives time for trainings and
lots of paperwork. So every year I have to write an outcome report, so I pulled the data from last year's outcome report for this. So I was providing direct service to 14 clients and 12 families, which has stayed the same this year. And I've been in this position 3 years, and then I think the most clients I've had is 21. So it kind of varies just depending on the needs of the kids, how many I can take on at a time. And then also in addition to the 14 clients I work with directly, I've also provided supports to an additional 120, and that's directly and indirectly, so like lunch bunches if a kid invites a friend, and then I do camps and the holiday giving program, which I'll talk about, and some other consultations, so that kind of connects me with families that I'm not serving directly. My caseload is mostly kids who have Medicaid and also mostly kids who are receiving special ed services through IEPs or 504 plans. So I think it's like 12 out of 14 for both of those. So my typical day includes doing supportive counseling with kids, so that's individually and then with a few peers, talking about home issues, school issues, social skills, that kind of thing. A huge part of my role is that homeschool coordination. A lot of the families I work with, that's hard for parents, and the good thing about my position is I stick with kids for at least a few years typically, so when they switch classrooms, I'm still that familiar face and can help make that connection with the teacher, which can sometimes be hard for the families that I'm working with. Then I'm also connecting with therapists and psychiatrists and doctors and all kinds of other community programs because the kids have a lot of different services. So kind of making sure everyone's on the same page and teachers know what the therapists are working on so the kids get a consistent message across the board. One thing that I've gotten to do more of this year, because the billing structure has changed, which I won't get into because it's not very exciting, is that I can consult with non-clients. So that has been some more intensive work, so I can meet with parents, talk about services that they could use, and then I've been making referrals for therapists and all kinds of outside supports, which has been, I think, really helpful because rather than just jumping to open a kid, I can kind of ease in and see if that needs to happen or if there's other things that we can be doing outside of school to support them. And then pretty much every day I'm doing crisis intervention and behavioral support to the kids on my caseload. Some days more than others, but I definitely see every kid on my caseload once a week, and then there's some kids I see every day. So it really depends on their needs. I meet with teachers every day, all the time. I attend all the IEP 504 meetings. I do all of those things. I attend EST meetings when it's one of my kids. And then I also am making referrals to a lot of different programs, so Howard Center and non-Howard Center, so therapists. And then a big piece of what I do is summer camps. So I try and make sure that every kid on my caseload is hooked up with a camp so they can kind of keep working on the social skills and keep a structure, because home life is chaotic sometimes. And so I also do that for non-clients. So if teachers are thinking that there's a family who might need that, I connect with parents. And sometimes parents, now that I've been here longer, parents are starting to just connect with me. Like they just come find me in my office, which is great. And each year I write at least one grant. The past 2 years I've done 2, so I get a grant from SHIP in Shelburne, and I also get one from PI. And that's typically together at about $1,500 that I can use to provide scholarships for camps and then like school year activities, so the stuff the rec department does, like skiing, snowboarding, all that kind of stuff, which is great because there's a lot of kids who wouldn't be able to do that without that money because camps are really expensive. I've realized that, like really expensive. And then one other big thing I do every year is a holiday giving program, and that serves about 30 families. This year it was 30, last year it was 32. And that is a big program. This year we included food, so a meal basket for the holiday meal and then also a snack basket because it was a 2-week break, which is a pretty long time for families who are relying on free and reduced lunch. And that goes really well. I get the list, so there's a lot of donors in the community. Everyone kind of pulls together. Everyone on this team helps me a lot when I'm going crazy. So it's really great, and the families are super appreciative.
And I can tell you that just yesterday we had this this case came to us, and it wasn't one of Kelsey's kids, and by the end of the day she had contact with all the outside providers and like written this amazing email to say, here are the things that you could look at. And I mean, that's the kind of support that she gives to the families, and it's very much appreciated.
And so one thing I look at the end of every year is just different outcomes. So the first thing I look at is achievement in math and literacy. So last year, 100% of the kids demonstrated an improvement or sustained their improvement in literacy, and 92% in math, which a lot of that is just working with parents to help make a homework plan or working with teachers and just making that connection, I think, is a huge piece. Disciplinary actions, there was an 83% improvement, or kids just didn't require it. They work closely with Kate and Jim to work on those behavior plans and make sure we're wrapping the kids as much as we can before things kind of get to a significant level. And then last year, attendance was a fairly big issue on my caseload, but 75% of the kids did demonstrate an improvement or didn't have a significant challenge. There were some pretty heavy hitters last year in attendance, but I feel like for the kids that I was able to, could set up plans to help. And then I made 35 referrals to community programs, and that was for clients and non-clients, so it's like mentoring programs and therapy and psychiatry. And then 21 successful referrals to Howard Center, so they do therapeutic groups and also have therapists, and that was clients and non-clients. And a successful referral is one where the family actually was contacted and instructors receiving services.
I don't know if you want to wait to the end. We do have a slide at the end for questions, but if you have anything as you're going.
So, it's nice to see everyone. A lot of times people always ask, what does a school counselor do? So, my overall goal for the Hinesburg Community School is to make sure that every student focuses on the skills that they need to be successful in school and in their future life. And this is done with parents, teachers, and to help them understand themselves, solve problems and conflicts, and really to teach them how to be successful in terms of personal, academic, and social success. So, how does the school counselor do all this stuff? Well, they provide individual counseling for students, focusing on personal goals, social issues, academic, family issues. This year, I've met or counseled with 35% of the Hinesburg Community School population, facilitating small support groups around whatever need arises for students based on their needs. For those students that are not supported by Kelsey or some issues are found through behavioral issues, I then become involved to the tier system, which is either tier 2 or tier 3 based on their personal issues. This year I facilitate and manage the educational support team, which is when students have issues, whether they be educational or behavioral, a group of teachers come together and we make a plan for that student to succeed. I help coordinate student placements when we have new students come into the school. I facilitate that, get information on new students, including helping students get to CVU. I meet with the counselors here at CVU, make that transition. For years, I've coordinated the CVU Big Buddy program, which is a phenomenal program. We have students come over from CVU and volunteer their time during free blocks to work with our K through 4 population. We're very fortunate because of our proximity to CVU. We always get the largest number of students because the travel time is so short. So I coordinate that program with Marianne Gatos. And a lot of our alumni come back because they had little buddies. I've been at Hinesburg a long time, so it's nice to see students that had little buddies come back to be big buddies and back in their own school.
It's awesome because some of the kids that spent a lot of time in my office are coming back now to help out, and they love coming in and sharing stories like, remember the day? And
it's really fun because knowing the students that had some issues, I pair them up with students that have the same issues now that they're seniors.
Yeah.
And they can really work with that. And I've had many of my ex-students say, I was like this in 4th grade. You really need to listen to your teacher. And it's just great to see that growth in an old student and see that interaction. So in terms of instructions, every year I teach
the fourth grade, all fourth grade classes at bullying harassment, in which I do an assessment at the end of each class and how to deal with it, what to do, how to report it. I also teach adolescent development to the fifth grade students. As a school counselor, I guess I have a lot of information, and students feel comfortable enough with me that I start talking about puberty and all those great issues that kids are so willing to talk about, which they do. And something new for me this year is I'm part of the team that's going to facilitate the implementation of personalized learning plans for 7th graders, which will need to be in place by the fall. So I'm currently working with CVU and school counselors across the SU, as well as people at Hinesburg. Part of my other responsibility is to keep the mental health protocol in place for the whole school. Everybody here is a member of that team, but when it comes to students that aren't covered by Kelsey in terms of suicide, abuse, self-harm, things of that nature, I make sure that those protocols are followed and correct people are notified. I also facilitate the CSSU School Counselor Group, which we meet monthly just to talk about what we do at each particular school and what students really need when they get to CVU. So we all communicate together and work together so that all our students in the supervisory union kind of end up with the same skill set. Some of the other things I do, I facilitate the Hinesburg Community School Public Safety Committee, which comprises of the administration, the school nurse, the chief of police, the fire chief, and when available, a member of the Homeland Security. We talk about how to keep our schools safe. If our students don't feel safe, we can do none of what we're talking about today. They cannot be educated. So I find that really important to do. I've been on the HCS Technology Committee for over 13 years. I also think technology is important, but one has to also be careful about technology and teach kids how to use technology effectively. I train all staff in mandated reporting every year so that we can keep our schools safe in terms of abuse. I also cover administrative duties when the administrators are out of the building. And let's see, and I'm facilitating the PLP committee for Hinesburg as well. That will be in place by next year. Do you have your clip?
Yeah, so we can't put this over, right?
I already talked about that.
Okay, so this is gonna be the video that we sent to the teachers, and it's gonna be talking about the Pay It Forward Friday. It's really cute, but.
If you do say so yourself.
Yeah. I say so, but.
All right, are we all set?
Yes. Should work. Oh, please work. Worked earlier.
Well, I can always get it from my.
Okay. Uh-oh.
X.
There we go. So this was teaching teachers how to do the Pay It Forward and how to set it up in your classroom to kind of implement this. Don't miss.
Just a minute. There has to be a button here, right? There we go. All right.
What's your name?
Dylan.
Who's your teacher?
Miss Hubble.
Miss Hubble. Have you been a watcher in Miss Hubble's class before?
N-O.
Would you like to be a watcher in her class?
Yes.
What does it mean to be a watcher? What kind of things are you doing?
You have to pick out a person.
Person that's doing what?
Doing stuff good, so you gotta give them a star.
Oh.
So cute.
All right, Friday. It's Pay It Forward Day, and we have some spies among us. What are the spies going to be looking for? First, tell me one thing. So Ronald, would you like to begin and I'll pass your start?
I think Carissa.
And tell us why.
We get one because she was like really following along with the group. I think Maddie earned a star because she was really persevering on words she didn't know. Like, for instance, crane. She was really working hard. She's like, crane.
Can I ask you a question, Miles? Is it sort of tricky sometimes when you have a whole group of people who are really working hard to narrow it down to one or two people?
Yeah.
Emerson was also really good job. Yeah. And Thomas, even though you didn't get a star, do you really feel like you were giving it your all? You were being respectful to your group? I don't want to dismiss that. I think that's really important. In this classroom, we are all stars, but this is one small gesture for that amount of time where you can say, you know, I really appreciate what you're doing. Hi, what's your name?
Rebecca.
And are you in Miss Hubble's class?
Yes.
So for Pay It Forward Friday, you have been a classroom watcher. What does it mean to be a watcher in your class?
Well, you look for kids that are doing the expected things.
Mm-hmm. And what's an example of an expected thing you might be watching for?
Raising your hand and like not like running around crazy.
And how has Pay It Forward Friday helped your class?
I think it helps kids be encouraged to do the expected things.
Great, thank you.
So we can cut it here if you want. You want to show the middle school? It kind of just shows it now in the middle school.
I chose Asha and
I want to see.
Have you ever gotten a star before?
Why, yes.
Yeah, when have you gotten stars?
I got stars when I was playing math.
Oh, great.
Playing math.
When I
Why is that still?
Okay, yeah. Are you all done?
This was after using Pay It Forward Friday with a staff member, kind of said it, just help those.
Yeah. So we presented you with a lot of information.
Right.
I'm sure you have questions,
Very
so
nice start.
I'm kind of open for any questions that you
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you may have addressed this when I stepped out with my coughing fit, but how often do you all meet, and what's the nature of those meetings?
Well, one of the nice things is that all our offices, with the exception of Jim, who obviously is up in the middle school, are in the same kind of suite.
Yeah.
So when a student comes to see any of us, it's kind of like we all have eyes on that same student. So we work very closely together. We're all in proximity of each other. If the need arises to have a meeting about a student, it can, it can be done spontaneously, which happens a lot. One of the great things about having Kelsey there as a support for me is instead of me having to get on the phone and call Howard for resources, I can go to Kelsey and say, I got a parent who wants to get counseling, who do I contact, what can you tell me? And she can give me that information immediately. But from my perspective, I think that's what really works for us. I let other people talk.
Yeah. If I need to come find, I got one place to go to, and I can access all for in the same way. So
Yeah, and that's kind of for that crisis. We can meet on the spot as needed. We have like the monthly tier 2 meeting, which is kind of where we bring up what's the data look like, where are the kids, like who are the ones that we need to really support. We also do a monthly tier 1 meeting, and kind of like that video, like, okay, what's the trends and what kind of things do we need to look at?
And they all have walkie-talkies.
No, well, we have so yeah. Office can never not find me. Really, they track us down. There's no corner that we can't hide, because we're kind of that first call, and then we figure out, all right, you need.
What's the level of need at
Dave,
that point?
Dave, I need you for this one,
Yeah.
But and working on those systems and figuring out how to get. I think that's something that's really improved.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask a question, but I'm I might tread on some ground that makes it a little more sensitive.
So Jim, I don't mean to pick on you.
Sure.
We talk about positions as a board, not people, but one of our primary responsibilities is budgetary. And in last year's budget, I think we created that position. So I would like some feedback from our administrators or from any of you to return to the board reflections on the success of that, so that we have that perspective as we go back into budget season next time.
So I'll take a stab at that first. And it was funny because this whole presentation went through many renditions, because the amount that everybody does is here, and we know that we only had this amount of time. And one of the slides we had was about how is having two this year.
Yep.
How's it? And I think what Kate, I think everybody has alluded to, is the ability to be more proactive. And if you have many more teachable moments, kids learn, and they don't get to the point where they have made the same mistake 3 times, or maybe even made that mistake because they learned the correct way to be doing things, what the expectations are. So I think that to us has felt huge. I've noticed a big difference on the bus this year, especially.
Yeah.
Our referrals on the bus, it's such a big difference from last year.
It's kind of an underreported area, so I can't pull you the data. I really tried to sit that.
Right.
But it was one of those where it was we would just hear about it and be
Right.
picking up the pieces kind of thing.
Right.
And now it's I have that relationship, and I'm able to be there because
Right.
Jim can take the other end of the day where he's with the middle schoolers after school. The other piece is I'm out at recess and I'm in the lunchrooms, which I would be, so I have that radio. It's great, they can always find me, but they can always find me. So I'm not being pulled out of every single meeting I'm sitting in. I'm not being pulled out of every single time I'm supporting a student. We're able to actually cover the 2 ends of the school, I guess, which it was very impossible. I mean, I'm good, but I couldn't.
And in terms of my position, when we got into situations like Kate was describing, where it could be a multitude of behavioral issues, what I would have to do is respond to those issues that Jim now, in terms of more of a behavioral or disciplinary role, has to respond to. Then I would have to respond to that. So that kind of frees me up to do kind of more prevention, more work with a larger amount of students. If not, then even though my caseload is large, it would impact the rest of that caseload. So that frees me up.
Yeah, not to be that disciplinary role. Yeah.
Even just timeliness to calling parents.
Yes, that's the other. Yeah,
Connecting with
teachers.
families.
families.
I mean, it's just the ability to get that done in more timely way.
And keep that proactive with families, so then you have that to make that phone call about a behavior, but then you can also say, well, make that phone call next. Well, it's going well, or this is working, or how's things at home.
Right.
That kind of set up meetings with parents after school.
Even being able to, with parents, well, this happened, at 9 o'clock this morning, but here it is 1 o'clock, and I saw him in the lunchroom, and I know he's already changed things around, and he's having a great day.
Yep.
So.
I think one thing that is huge is our office is downstairs, so Jim's actually in the middle school, so the kids don't have to come down to us, and there's actually eyes on what's happening, which is definitely a big deal this year.
Yeah, I have a space that they can use proactively themselves. That they've earned that ability to come in there and kind of have some kids who blow bubbles, or just take a breather and get back to class, so they don't have to come all the way down through.
And again, from my perspective as a school counselor, it's very interesting that, as an adult, I can prioritize things. I can say, okay, this student is cutting, this student's parent has died. I need to deal with that immediately. But in kids' eyes, If they had a fight with their best friend, or, you know, something happened with their parents at home, in their eyes, that's the priority. So when I have support like that, I can respond to those students more quickly, as opposed to having to prioritize on my list of things to do for the day. And then that builds relationship, which is the key thing with students, is to build relationship, so that you know, they understand that there's support and that people will listen to them.
In short, since my tenure here, we've added both positions. And I don't think that there's a bigger bang for your buck in terms of the academic success that our kids have. They're behavior support people, but the impact that they have been able to give on the academics, freeing us up, allowing Dave and Kelsey to do what they're paid to do. I mean, it's, so I know that they're viewed as behavior interventionists, but what they're able to provide because of their supports is
impacts the whole system.
Right.
I just want to make a comment. Kate, you and I worked together on a number of different incidents in school, either in kindergarten, first grade, or second grade. Excuse me, not necessarily specific to my daughter, but related, friends, whatever. She would tell me things at night going to bed. Yo, Mommy, I was really upset about this today. So-and-so got picked on, and it really hurt my feelings. And they're my friend, and I didn't like it, and that kind of thing. And I've really, really appreciated your support. You're so quick to get back to parents, and you're on top of the issue, and you're dealing with it. And I think you're amazing. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I just want to say thank you. I think you're great.
I know I'm busy today, so how she did this by herself, not by herself, but carrying the load.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think it's been. I see the difference.
Yeah, I know. So I am, any other questions for our guests on the counseling support? All right, so I would thank you very much. It's a great presentation, very helpful for us to learn about these kinds of things in the school. I am mindful of the time, and we do have a bunch of other stuff to do, but I'm hopeful that we can plow through it. Let's go back to the appointment of board officers. So Kathy and Stacy, before you arrived, we did some board officers, but we left a couple open because we wanted your input on that. So the first one that we left open is the facility committee.
Tell them what you did first, please.
Oh, yeah. So I was elected chair again. Bill is the vice chair. Stacy, we appointed you as the clerk again.
Sure, it's fine.
Colleen is the assistant clerk. Colleen.
Unless Kathy wants it.
Unless you want it.
I doubt
Okay.
she does.
Colleen is our policy committee rep, and Bill is our negotiations committee rep. Facility committee we left open because we know that you have served on that, and we wanted to see if you were able to do that, continue. All right, so then I nominate Kathy to be our facilities committee rep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Technology, I think we're still going to hold that in abeyance, at least for the time being. Bill, you can think about it and investigate. And okay, all right, we'll see. Pi Rep, Stacy, we're mindful that you did that. Not sure if you would you continue in that?
Yeah, I don't mind. I think I've struggled getting invited or finding out when meetings are.
Yep.
It's just a different process now. They're not standard meetings at set times. So I think I've broken through.
Once you're on that list, you can't get off. So.
I think they have the meetings already planned out until September.
I just need to get that from Carla. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So then I would entertain a motion to nominate Stacy as our Pi Rep. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. Thank you very much. And then the last thing on board officers is we need 3 reps to the SU board. And given the 3 people that were here, probably are going to be those people, we at least wanted to get your input and not act alone.
If you guys are happy doing it, I'm happy to have you do it.
All right. So can you nominate?
If you don't want to do it, that's a different thing.
It's something I would like to do.
Yeah.
I thought the 3 of you liked it.
Would you be so kind as to nominate us?
Well, I will nominate the 3 of you to be on the SU board.
All right. All those in favor of Colleen, Bill, and myself being our 3 reps, say aye.
Bill, do you like it?
Aye. We can vote first, so it's okay.
All right.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Kathy, you okay with that?
Yeah. Bill, are you okay with it?
It's a labor of love.
Okay.
All right, now let's get back to some agenda
Thank
stuff.
you.
6.0 reports to the board. We have 4 here. I know the principal's report is in our materials, so do you guys, is there anything that you want to particularly highlight?
Yep.
Quickly, being mindful of the time.
Pretty quickly, Dig It, this is our first 4 or 5 musical we've done, and that came up last year with the parents really wanting to provide another musical opportunity for students. And so anyway, that was something we've had, once again, going back to budget, we've had discussions about. It's over 50 kids are participating. It's great. The Pie Family Dance and Auction was so much fun.
Yeah.
That was great. It made over $4,000. I mean, it just was, it was such a great sense of community. I mean, I wish you all could have been there to see it. Families dancing together, and it was just,
I love the idea of a family dance.
yeah, it was great. And the PE teachers all during the week, I taught different, like the chicken dance
I think that
and
was
the
really
electric
cool.
slide.
Yeah.
They were getting
Hey.
kids really excited.
The 4th grade ruled the dance.
The what?
The 4th grade
I
ruled
heard-
the dance. No way.
No, 2 5th grade classes had the most students in attendance.
Oh,
wow.
I thought they were the ones that won the pizza.
I just thought it was a great evening. Both Jeff and I, we just thought it was a great evening. I know a lot of parents worked hard on that, and for the first ever event for our school, it was such, and to have it be such a huge success, it really felt great. It was a wonderful community event. And also, just so you know, we're now up to 33 kindergarten students, and when I wrote this last week, we were at 15, so we're at 33 kindergarten students. And we have hired a couple of new long-term guest teachers, or long-term subs, whatever you want to call them. Cara Deal, who's already working in Audrey Hubble's room side by side with her as Audrey prepares to leave for her maternity leave. And Kristen Couliard, who's already been working for us as a paraspecialist in 5-8, will be in Paul Rochela's room as he leaves for the rest of the year. So those are just some highlights I had. Jeff, anything else? Or? Okay.
Questions? All right, thank you.
6-2
parent council debrief. I think Allegra covered it, at least on the dance.
Yep.
So I don't know unless anyone has anything else. All right. 6-3 facilities. Kathy, anything to report? All right. And 6-4 is a placeholder for other committees. I don't think negotiations, policy, we're going to get to in a minute. Technology. All right. Then let's move to 7.0. 7.1, discussion of various policy changes. Again, the way we do this is we take, the policy committee works on them, they present them, the changes to us, we get to digest them, talk about them, and then give them any feedback, and then the following month we take action on them. So there are 6 there, they're all in the packet. Hopefully you've had a chance to review them. Does anyone have any questions or discussion on the 6 policies with revisions?
And I'd be happy to comment on. There was nothing that was startling in any of in this series, so it was pretty straightforward. A lot of the, a lot of it is just bringing together like CVU versus the K-8s, trying to get one policy instead of having 2, and then there might be some language that's updated in VSBA. Sometimes it's looking at the protocol and the policy and just making sure that the phrasing is in the right place and so forth. So this was mostly cleanup.
All right. Any questions, further discussion? All right. 7.2, Board's Corner.
Can I back up for 1 second, Keith?
Yeah, yeah.
Cindy asked me to ask you, do you like having the strikeouts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the lawyer in me.
I like it too. I will report out on them. Thank you.
You tell Cindy I said yes.
I will, Keith.
I think that's what we all want. It helps us all.
Absolutely.
You can see what's
Absolutely to see what's changed. 7.2, Communications, Board's Corner. Any thoughts?
We should have a thank you to the community for supporting the budget.
I did send,
Yeah, I saw
I
that.
did post something on Front Porch Forum to that, in that respect.
I thought that was nice.
I know that there was a SBAC article that just came out under the CVU heading. I wish that it had been an SU heading, since that's something that applies to all of the schools.
Basically, the article was the SBAC article that you received in your board packet, so you all are quite aware. It's just, it'd be great if it were in all the town newspapers. So I don't know exactly where
it's been published
that
yet,
goes, but that's the intent, right?
Yeah.
So everyone will see it if they
Yep.
read those.
Keith, are you referring to an article on the record?
I don't know if it's been in the record yet, but yes.
But where did you see it with the CVU headline?
There have been a couple of stories, articles that the CVU Communications Committee has put together.
Oh, okay.
And they come out under the CVU heading, but a number of them apply to all of the schools in the SU, such as the SBAC one, or the negotiations was another one.
Okay.
And I really wish that those that apply to all the schools really came from the SU, as opposed to an individual school, because it applies to all of the schools. And, you know, for example, if you don't have any kids at CVU, you might not read that article.
Right.
Even though it applies, and you have kids at one of the elementary schools in the SU, the SBAC stuff is useful information. All right.
Might be good feedback to bring tomorrow morning when you do your debrief.
Yeah, I made a note. There have
maybe
been
tonight.
2 SBAC news articles in everybody's local newsletters, but I realize that's not the most read venue.
But yeah, and a couple months ago at the SU board, we talked about communications and, you know, in prep for the budget, how to be more efficient. You know, if there's someone who's writing a great article for CVU, for example, why can't we all use it? So it's probably time to revisit that again. So.
Action matters. 8.1, affirm code of conduct. I see everyone signed it already, so I don't know that we necessarily need to do anything, but again, this is renewing the code of conduct that we as a board agreed to several years ago, and seeing as everyone on the board, congratulations, by the way, for those of you who were just reelected. Since we're all back here and we don't have any new members, it's something you've all seen before, but we sign it each year. 8.2, personnel leave of absence request. The agenda says materials for board only. So should we talk about this in open session?
I confirmed with Elaine that if you're not going to talk about the person personally and just talk about the leave request, you're fine to discuss it in the open.
We do have an executive session scheduled at the end on our agenda, and we have another personnel matter to talk about. Do people feel comfortable taking action on the leave of absence request with those parameters, or do you want to reserve conversation on this leave of absence request until that executive session?
I'm comfortable with the leave of absence request, bringing it forward right now. If that's your ask.
That's my ask. Do you want to
Let's
take action on it right now, or do you just want to talk about it later and then take action later?
Let's take action.
Okay, then I guess I will entertain a motion to approve the leave of absence request as presented.
I just want to make one comment.
Let's take the motion first.
Okay.
So moved.
Thank you, Colleen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill.
My only comment is, and I understand this leave of absence, the rationale behind it's excellent. The reason this person is doing this is excellent, good for the whole school. My only concern is with any leave of absence that goes beyond a year, is who is filling the shoes at the school level. If we're getting a series of one-year people there, is that the best way to serve kids in the school? I'm not saying that's the instance in this time. I just want to
What's the protocol for that? Yeah, it comes up periodically, so it's something that's appropriate for us to mention.
So I just want us to be cognizant of that. That's just
What's the protocol when there's a leave of absence 2 years in a row? Because we have some contractual issues for one-year appointments that extend beyond that. And I don't know if we can answer that now.
So, you want us to answer that?
I think so.
Okay. So it's a one-year position, so legally we have to post the position again.
If we think that it's in the best interest of the students, we'll bring it forward to you, and then ultimately it's your decision if it's one, if it's two. Like sometimes the circumstance fits the request for more than 1 year, but it's always, we're not going to bring it forward to you if it has to pass through us.
But they're asking the question about who we hire for the replacement.
I think that's it.
It's more that, and we legally have to post that position again. We could post it in a number of ways. We could post it just in our school, we could post it SU-wide, we could post it on School Spring, and those are the decisions that, as administrators, we make that decision.
And do I recall correctly that under the contract or whatever the guidance is, that a person that holds a one-year position does not get seniority for that
Correct.
1 year?
Until they're hired permanently.
Do they then, is that retroactive then?
Yes.
Oh.
When they're hired, that's a new thing with the contract.
Okay.
I believe I'm not speaking.
So I think
I
think what Bill's asking is,
I said that with a lot of authority, but I'm pretty
does
sure
the
that's
fact that you're not getting seniority and it's only a one-year position as opposed to maybe a permanent position somewhere else affect the pool of people that we would get to take that?
I'm not even asking that question. I sort of am. I guess I'm more just, from my perspective, where I sit just to think about is you know, I guess this way, excuse me, you know, the most important thing to me is the kids in the classroom getting the best instruction. And I understand the rationale behind this leave of absence, but I think sometimes it's human nature to say, well, this person's being an employee and it's a good opportunity for them, and let's do this for this person, but we gotta think about the kids in the classroom. The first priority should be those kids getting the best instruction. I just wanna make sure that we're all, I mean, I know you do, I know you folks do, I just think that's something to share with the community, that it's, you know, that should be top of mind as well. So thank you.
All right, are you ready for the question?
Yes.
All those in favor of approving the motion to approve the leave of absence as requested, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? The motion carries. Thank you very much. We already did 8.3, the 8th grade field trip. So then the consent agenda, there's a number of items on that. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy.
Second.
Thank you, Colleen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Thank you, the motion carries. And Molly, I will point out that I'm now 7 minutes ahead.
Keith, I noticed.
It's a 5-minute walk down the hall.
So we're going to confirm our next meeting dates, which obviously is the SU board shortly after this. Our next board meeting is April 14, returning to 7 o'clock in this room. Preceded, of course, by the SU meeting at 5 and board chairs on April 7. As I mentioned, we do have executive session on the agenda for a different personnel item, so I will entertain a motion to go into executive session to deal with that.
Yep.
Thank you, Stacy.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. All right.